I haven't really been trying to keep up much with the Jodi Arias trial, but apparently it's about to take a turn for the twisted and not the best. I guess they can't prove that Ari didn't kill um, Travis, so they're trying not just to go for defense, self-defense somehow. They're trying to go for the idea that Travis deserved to be killed. And how are they going to achieve this feat? Well, if you've been watching my channel or my sister channel for any amount of time, where I'm going with this, aside from I'm sure the title I'll put on here, should be blindingly obvious. They're going to accuse Travis of being a non-offending pedophile, but, just a pedophile in general. And therefore, Jodi was doing a service to humanity by killing that scum, trash, and villainy. Never mind that the actual evidence for this, as cited by Jodi, is on shaky ground as it is. But trolling the comment section of this particular article, which will be linked down in the underbar, actually has restored a little bit of faith in humanity, because if this were, say, 5 years ago, that comment section would be filled with people saying, Jodi did the right thing. Jodi should be president. She had the courage to go against those pedos. And so on and so forth. All the disgusting things people say out of ignorance. Never mind that there are law-abiding, non-offending pedophiles. And yes, I'm sorry to burst some people's bubbles. There is actual evidence to support that summation, which, if you go to my channel page, you can check through the research I've done on pedophilia, simply because I found out how absolutely misinformed I was, and how this witch hunt, amongst other things, is hurting everybody and not just the people it's intended to hurt. But here's a clear-cut case where somebody, a scumfuck of a lawyer, is trying to use our pedophilia assumptions and scares to try to override any evidence to the contrary to get this woman off and back out onto the streets. If this doesn't illustrate for the umpteenth time how disgusting, how destructive this pedophilia hysteria has become, I present to you Exhibit G. Jodi Arias' trial takes a serious turn for the twisted. Now, originally, when I was reading this article, I didn't think there was anything that I was going to find, because I'm like, how twisted could they get? Forgetting some of the research and some of the places people will go to in order to make it seem as though their actions were justified. When it comes to the Jodi Arias murder trial, I'm not sure who exactly is on trial here, Jodi or her murdered boyfriend, Travis Alexander. Jodi and her lawyers are doing everything in their power to make Travis seem like the kind of guy who deserved to be stabbed to death and shot several times by Jodi in his own shower. Jodi claims it was self-defense. We hear about how Travis was having sex with Jodi despite being a supposedly chaste Mormon. How he supposedly hid Jodi from his friends and family. How he supposedly was cheating on Jodi. And now, worst of all, how he was supposedly sexually attracted to little boys. Now, several things. I think I watched a day of testimony where Jodi had met Travis while she was still in love with, or in a relationship with, her current boyfriend. She eventually dumped said boyfriend to get with this guy, who she had already been apparently exchanging tepid, but slightly, risque email type of situations there as they were getting to know each other. Yeah, Jodi really has a leg to stand on when talking about cheating now, doesn't she? But again, I don't really give two fucks until this came about. Until this came about. Now, let us say, for the sake of argument, though, I'm going to continue with this article because you will understand that there is little to no evidence outside of Jodi herself to corroborate this idea that Travis was sexually attracted to boys. Let us say, for the sake of argument, that she is being 100% truthful, that the things she claims in the article are absolutely real. I'm not saying that it's necessarily, there's something okay about looking at little boys and masturbating, but if that is the worst that Travis did, if he never dared to touch a child and would never touch a child, then what does this matter? It's like going after a guy who has the genes and the background to be a serial killer based off of just those things. He's never serial killed anybody, and maybe he will never serial kill somebody in their life. But do you want to take that risk? See how easily this can become a ridiculous idea. Oh, we've got to be against this person even though they've never demonstrated any actual harm towards anybody. So let's say, like I said, playing devil's advocate, unless she can produce proof that Travis actually ever went after or was grooming any children like a child predator would, or was having any inappropriate contact whatsoever with kids, then while his private tastes might be distasteful, and I can't necessarily disagree with that simply because this sort of thing is not my cup of tea. Yes, I've researched this. No, I have no interest in underage children of any type, just to make that clear. But the fact that just these accusations could be a thing to say, oh, well, in this case, we're going to ignore any and all evidence against Jodi and just think in our heads that Jodi is a hero. She took out a monster, right? She stopped him before he could ever harm a child. Prove it, okay? I have done my homework. I have done my research. My channel page is full of my homework that I have done for you. I have done a lot of legwork for you. You're going to have to go a long way to prove that if Travis was actually a in-the-closet or otherwise pedophile, or as the DSM-5 is going to probably likely to classify it if the newer edition revisions are going to be made as homosexual pedophilia or pedophile, then you still have to prove that he had any intent on harming a child whatsoever. And unfortunately, internal morality as well as, things of this nature sometimes tend to trump a person's sexual desires. If you're going to tell me that their sexuality is more of a threat than yours, then you have to prove to me that you yourself, being a heterosexual male, sexually go after every woman you were ever sexually attracted to. Or if you're a homosexual, that you go after or rape every man that you ever want to go out with or that you're ever sexually attracted to. We cannot act that one sexuality works mechanically different than anybody else's sexuality. In fact, I have research, I have numbers, I have studies on my side. And that's what, but, they're trying it, but apparently for once in all of my time in researching legislation and alleged pedophilia, whether implied or otherwise, in litigation. This is the first time I have seen where people aren't really buying it. Maybe it's our bias against Jodi is outweighing our disgust for pedophilia. I would hope that it's not that. I would hope that it's something that's more concrete, that we're being more discreet with how disgusted we are or how willing we are to allow somebody to literally get away with murder based off of the mere accusation of inappropriate sexual desire or sexuality, as pedophilia is coming out to be. There is apparently Jodi saw Travis masturbating to photos of little boys, although the prosecutors have yet to find any evidence of photos of little boys on Travis's computer or anywhere else. Jodi also reports that Travis wrote 10 letters admitting his attraction to little boys. But the letters are a bit suspect and have yet to be verified, not to mention the fact that 10 letters, none of this makes much sense. But you see, the article writer as well as the commenters are willing to look at the evidence as it is instead of saying, oh, this person's an alleged pedophile, well then Travis deserved to die. If I were there, I would have stabbed him and shot him and cut his dick off myself, as we have in the past. I'm still reeling from the Texas incident down here where a guy, a father of a daughter, beat up an alleged pedophile, and though no charges of pedophilia were actually ever substantiated, everybody just forgot about the case. After they were done condemning and spitting on the dead body of this guy who may not have even been a pedophile. But because the label of pedophile can be so easily levied against somebody with little or no evidence, and the public will oftentimes take it on as gospel and condemn somebody whether there's any evidence of it or not, sickens me. And it should sicken most of you, because that is a travesty of justice, to say the very least. But you can read the rest of the article here. I'm somewhat excited that some people are seeing through the facade, are seeing through the hysteria, or at least that's what it seems like at this time. But also I wanted to spend my time, as I did, playing devil's advocate and saying, well, let's say for the sake of argument Travis was. So what? If he has actually harmed somebody, then you've got something there. If he has touched a child inappropriately, you have something to this. But if all he ever did was masturbate to things that most of us would find absolutely inappropriate, and rightfully so, then you don't really have anything. You have somebody who's doing routine active maintenance on himself, and he's not an exclusive pedophile, as you know from my research, because he was having an adult relationship with Jodi and maybe some other people, especially if he's cheating on her with other adults. Then it does not seem that his pedophilia, if it was at all there, was a major issue or was impacting the lives of children, which honestly is the more important thing than if Travis actually was a pedophile, which again has yet to be substantiated.